and we're recording.
Wow. And Sanskriti left. Oh, she's back. What's up, girl?
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for taking time on a Friday to chat. You already put a lot of hours into this project, so I appreciate the double overtime. Yeah, maybe just like introduce yourselves. You can say one thing about yourself, maybe your pronouns or something you like about life.
Hi, I'm Millie, pronouns she, her. What I like about life is the three other people sharing the screen with me. Someone else go.
Hi, my name's Cassandra. My pronouns are she, her. And what I like about life is cheesy, but I think that it always has a way of showing you that there's room to grow and learn, and that it doesn't have to be hard.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
Hola, my name is Sanskriti Marathe. My pronouns are she, her. And what I like about life is that I think there are so many avenues of making art that have opened up during pandemic, and it's super cool that I get to just come together with friends and make art and not spend a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for the listeners out there, my name's Reid. My pronouns are he, him. And something I like about life is like a good slice of pizza. Can never say no to like a good za. Yeah, I'm excited to be here with the three of you. We just wrapped up rehearsals on our production of Just Pervs, which the three of you acted in, and I had the privilege of being the stage manager of. We're not joined by our directors today, so I thought we could just focus a bit on your role in the piece as performers. And what I think is pretty interesting is that the three of you came into the piece pretty much from the beginning, like while it was still being adapted by myself. I sent you all a message randomly and was like, hey, I'm doing this thing, and would you be interested in reading it aloud for me over Zoom? And then you just never left the process. That was like your entry into it. So I'm kind of just curious, like what that first reading instilled in you to continue to accept my, request to collaborate from there. And
like for me, when I first read it, the characters were really distinct already. The themes were really, really clear already. I liked that it knew exactly what it was saying right from the get-go. Yeah, I think that, and that all like the dialogue and stuff was really natural, sounded really like real people talking. I liked that a lot.
I can go. I think the first thing that drew me to this project was Reid. I think I remember you talking to me about this project during Goodnight Desdemona, Good Morning Juliet, which was this play that we did long ago, and he was talking about it, and he was in process, and I couldn't believe, like, oh, he pulled through. He actually wrote that play, and he thought of us. That was actually the nicest part. I'm like, even if this is the reading, he had his peers in mind, and he invited us to share this craft, this writing with us, and that was the first and foremost point that pulled me into the play, because I did not read it before you offered it, right? So yeah, that was really nice. It was just young people thinking of young people, and I like that a lot.
I'll piggyback off of that. I have always known Reid to just be this creative person, like even outside of our program. I think that that's just something that's pretty apparent about him. And so when I was still surprised when he approached us to read for this project, because I was like, oh, like people are like still doing things in quarantine. So I didn't know what to think of it in terms of where it was like going, but I was interested in continuing to connect with people virtually. And that experience was definitely one that drew me in that aspect. And I thought it was, yeah, really amazing that a colleague of mine was putting together this piece, and who knew what was going to come from it, what it was going to look like. I just want to say my dumbass did not think that we were like in any way being offered these parts. I thought for some reason that it was something that we were just being asked to read for.
That's
so
what I
that
thought
like
too. That's what I thought.
yeah, so that like Reid could just get a sense of what he was doing, and then he would go on to hire Hollywood. I didn't, but then the real Hollywood came in because it was a closed audition, because we didn't even, we just got the part, Jennifer Lawrence. So that was, and again, like Sanskruti said, and I'm piggybacking off of it, in retrospect, that was very kind that you decided to stick with us. And I think there is a certain cultural aspect that changes in sticking with the bodies that you initially asked, as opposed to if you had asked like, if the cast had turned out to be like predominantly white or predominantly something. I think that may have also, I'm not a mind reader, but I know you to be a very aware person. And I think that may have also been something that was a factor for you in keeping us. And so I further appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate all of you sticking with it. What I think it was Cassandra who touched on this briefly. This idea of virtual connection. Like, we all completed a program with such an emphasis in our acting training on touch and physicality and embodiment, and now that was taken away from us by being separated. And I had never been part of a process like this before, and I don't know if any of you had done something like this before COVID, which would be surprising. I'd love to hear that story. But I guess showing up to rehearsal when you've just been at home and it's like, oh, it's 7 o'clock, I have to log on and like be present and act. Like, what was that like for all of you? And did it come naturally just from the fluidity of the text that you sort of described, or was it something that you had to sort of tap into for yourselves?
I kind of loved it for me. I get in my head really easy. We all know this. And it made it I felt less pressure, I guess. And so because of that, I think I did a lot better, because I don't know, it just felt like I was going online and like we were doing something for us and something fun. And yeah, I had to be there at 7, but like I wasn't getting marked on it. You weren't taking attendance. Like, it was something very like, I wanted to do it. I didn't have time to think about it. I didn't like have to, there's something for me very still stressful about going to rehearsal and like putting pressure on like a new space that I'm in to do something. So to have it all kind of in my house made me feel really like safe, I guess.
Well, for me, I certainly felt like a big sense of commitment, especially as things started to pick up, and like it was like okay, this is sort of decided that this is what we're doing, and there was certainly a lot of fear in that, because I feel like personally, with the pandemic happening, there was so much that it, like Reid said, it did take away so much. And before I started school, which I kind of didn't know I was going to go back to school for a year. We had all had this summer, I'm assuming, where we didn't have any commitment that we were looking forward to or expecting, was just like diminished completely. And for some reason I had felt kind of anxious. I felt pretty anxious at one point about coming back into a space of commitment like that. And I still don't totally know why, but yeah, I agree with Millie that it wasn't this sense of like a rehearsal space for me. Like we all come in and do a roll down and a roll back up and, you know, breathe through your anus or whatever. Sorry. Can I not say that?
Oh, go for it. Let it fly.
Okay.
Anus, anus, anus.
Anus. Breathe through, yeah. But it was, the comfort in that was that it was like in my home. And looking back again on that, it's pretty cool. Like I never really considered throughout this entire pandemic that like art can be made at home. And so I really not only got to witness that, but I got to experience it, which I don't think I really appreciated enough of that until like near the end of the process. Because this isn't done like all the time.
Yeah. First of all, like when you're talking about tapping in, I think the script is just so good. I was doing these promotions on my Instagram stories, and the first thing I said was, yesterday I was recording this, and I was like, I did not know that as a fresh graduate, I would land on such a good script as my first project. Like, this is wild. But I think the fact that Reid has written the script and he's written it so well and he's got everyone on board is just incredible. So I think the script was just brilliant. You know, you don't have to work to pick it off of the paper. That's A. And then B, as Millie said, there's something about showing up and not feeling pressurized, you know, when the space is safe. And these are the people where we've gone through a lot together, and just to come back in a room and share a vulnerability comes organically, comes easily. And these are just good actors. That's the thing. These are good actors, and we had some good directors, and we had some good direction from you as well, Reid. So I think, yeah, the things were made easy for me and all of us. But there were a lot of lines, and I took it on me. I'm like, Sanskruti, you're getting it. Go for it. Learn. Have fun memorizing those lines. And yeah, I spent like good hours just soaking it in and memorizing lines, which was so nice. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing that. I think like building on these ideas of like of pressure, like this, like working with Julia and Devinder, people that for the first time, maybe not the first time, but like in a rare case are like the same age as all of us and are familiar with the struggle of being an actor, like the way that you can get pigeonholed, the way that you're, you know, can get a direction that is more harmful than good. What was it like working with people that you know, perhaps had your back in some ways that were new? And also, how did you respond in retrospect to the process that they sort of conducted for all of you?
Actually, so like grateful and enlightened by that, because like you're right, they are our age, and you know, I mean, no matter what age we are, we've all been affected by this pandemic, like, but we're all sort of in the same boat in terms of how we've been affected because of our age and where we're at in life. And it was just, first off, there was just the benefit of just being able to kiki, you know, here and there. So then that was, you know, I always love a little good kiki, but there was that. But I appreciated that they really seemed to it was apparent to me that they not only took it seriously, but that they had these ideas of, you know, how to, like, even with the self tapes that we were all scheduling in afterwards, like, there was one point where Julia said to Devinder, they're like, okay, do you want to do that thing we were talking about? And I was like, and then Julia was just, she got excited and she's like, this is going to be so good. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, so just the synergism that was between them was really seamless, and they took it very seriously. But obviously you would expect a director to do that, but knowing that the fact that we all knew each other and we were all the same age, there was, I think, potential for this to be like just like a kiki fest, and it really wasn't. Like, we were really, they were professional, we were all professional, but it was really nice. You know, the director just, you know, the director is like at the top of the chain and everything, so it's, the tone is set essentially by them. And I think that they did a really good job of maintaining the pace and the tone and handling whatever came up. And yeah, it was great to know that they were not only serious about the project and professional about it, but that they did also have our backs if we needed something, if we needed to talk about something. I certainly felt that. So I'm extremely grateful that they were both put on this project, because I really think that it tied everything together.
I can go. Yeah, isn't it so nice? Isn't it so nice for your friends and your directors to have your back? That you show up and they're there to purely support you and uplift your craft. There is no, you know, and that's a sense of comfort and ease that comes with, you know, they're our age. And even if they're directing us, they're rooting for us. And you could genuinely feel like Devinder and Julia and Reid were really rooting for us. And that feels so good. And I feel both of them, not just because they're like best friends, but they both brought something so specific and important to this play and this process. I know Devinder has this very specific, detailed vision that he knows how to manifest and just get it out of the actors. And Julia has this warm, feminine energy. You know, I think she is very observant and she knows how to just like hold everything together, you know. And I love that. I love that about their process and what they brought to the table. And since, again, they are our age and they're doing it for the first time, we were able to offer a lot of things and they were able to sculpt something out of it. So it wasn't just you do this because I need you to do this. It's like what you can offer and what we can offer to help you sculpt that offer, which is a much better process. Yeah. And yeah, just having young people direct young people, the support system was so good. And the working process, this is innovative. I think this is what it feels like to, like, you know, innovate a process and just it for it to just unfold organically. So yeah, I'm really proud of the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps to have a whole team of people who were the ages that the characters were not that long ago, or perhaps right now. It's not something that they have to like look back on and think about. It's more like immediate, I guess. And because of that, I think they knew right away what they wanted and what they saw, because they were seeing it all the time. What's this emoji? What's happening?
Because you said that they had to look back. They would have to look back. And I'm just thinking about like the directors we've had. Like, how would they have handled that? Like, well, you know, when I was.
Yeah, exactly. And like even like when they were teenagers, like it's 2004 when they're teenagers, like we all God, I hope we all remember like 2004. Like it's not something that like we had to like do research for or anything like that. And yeah, they knew exactly what they wanted. They understood the really immediate feelings in the script, I think, because they were immediate to them and immediate to all of us. So that was cool.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that word you just said, Millie, of immediacy. I feel like a lot of conversations that us and our cohorts were having sort of as we were exiting our institutional training into the world was this idea of why do we tell the stories that we do on this land that we're on now? And in terms of that theme of immediacy that is so vital to theater, where do you think this play fits into that tapestry and landscape? And what does this play mean to you, and why is it important?
This is definitely like a more, if I thought longer, I'd think of something better. But the first thing that occurred to me was like, when we did this reading, when we did this show, we all lived in different places. I was in Saskatchewan the first time that we did it. And oh, Millie, what are you trying to say? And in this play, they're all far apart, but they're connected by something. They live in different places. They don't talk very much. When they do, they talk on the phone, they talk virtually. And we were also doing that. And like, I think it helped us understand how far like love and friendship and caring about people can stretch. We saw it with them when we were seeing it with us in the rehearsal process. We were seeing it. Yeah, we were seeing how you can love people like from very far away or very close together, I think.
Thank you.
I think the first thing that came to my mind was grief. And I think it just somehow fits. Like, I don't want to make this dark, but there is a sense of heaviness and grief in the air, you know? And I feel like it's one of those times and moments where people are dying in bulks and we forget the individual story of every single human. Like, every single human lived a whole life. And we get to explore maybe that one life through our play, and I am delighted that we're able to present that, and we're able to present like the after effects of that grief. Yeah, and just revolution is in the air, baby. You know, and the play stands for it, and it explores it in such a wholesome way. Like, it's not like this yellow revolution starts, it pulls through and we all win in the end. You know, it's such a nice layered exploration of revolution, which is where we left off school. And yeah, I think there are a lot of dots that just connected.
Yeah, I have to agree with the play representing so much for all of us and the time that we're in. And the fact that it would be, even though the play literally explains how being a perv is not actually as like taboo as people think it is. People may look at this and see it as taboo. It's still a revolution in its own right. And I've always related this play to identity for me. And going back to what Millie said, they're so far apart, but they're connected by this like primary aspect. And I think that they truly find themselves through exploring that, and through continuing to communicate and connect with each other. So I think that is important to have, you know, just the sense of connection, especially right now. And I think that I for some reason, I think about somebody who would be like 12 or 15 and having thoughts and things like that. Just, that sounds profound, but just, you know, thoughts on the same things that the play talks about, and feeling that they wouldn't have anybody to talk too about it. And I think that this could offer, I would hope that this would offer, insight if anybody were to get their hands on it, years from now at that age. Because I know I didn't have that when I was that age and I was going through puberty, and everybody goes through puberty. And I mean, I don't have to elaborate if you've gone through puberty. And so I think about that in retrospect now that the play is over. But I do think that it's an important form of self-identity, and the grieving aspect, I have to agree with Sanskruti that it is there, and it's not it shows it in a raw way. I really relate to how Jill feels at the end of the play, and I think we all can, to a certain extent, in different ways.
Well, thank you all again so much for joining together for this conversation. I think just to end things on a fun note, something that I've always really loved films and books and plays that have this kind of element that our play does, where the girls as a group, they kind of have like a name for themselves. They are the pervs, and that reminds me of films like Skate Kitchen. These women who come together and they call themselves that. So if you could look back on your high school years, what would you and your homies have been?
We called ourselves like different people from this from the Wings Club, and there was always a fight between who was Bloom because she was the main character. Yeah, that was huge back then. And I also remember like trying to, there's this big movie called Jab We Met that came out around that time, and me and my friend got together like, we're going to make a remake of this movie. I'm going to be fashion designer, you're going to be a director. I'm going to be a producer, you're going to be a singer. I'm going to do this. And I went to like this tailor shop and I borrowed their magazines and I photocopied everything. But I think that urge of identifying as, something important was always there. So yeah.
Okay, I went to 2 different high schools. So my first one, I felt like I had like a kind of squad, and then I didn't. I realized I didn't, but I did have these 2 friends who were like keepers. So if we were to give each other names, like a name, I feel like we'd call ourselves those bitches, because we kind of were those bitches. Okay. And then for my other high school, I went to an alternative school because I couldn't handle my first high school. So I'd say we'd all call ourselves the flop outs, because there were actually a handful of us that we all went to the same high school, and like at different points in times, we all left and went to that same alternative school and all found each other there. And we were like, what do you do? Wait, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, you couldn't handle it at Carter? We were like, no, bitch, please. What? So yeah, I would call us the flop outs, because we all flopped out of that situation.
Maybe I'd do like a little parody of the Breakfast Club, because we were all musical theater kids who had rehearsals at lunch, so we could be the lunch club.
The lunch club.
I think it's good.
The W squad.
Yeah.
Well, that's all very sweet and very nostalgic. And yeah, thank you all so much for this. This was awesome.
Thank you, Reid.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.